there were 18 residents living in the scatter of hovels at the crossroads. The track running parallel to the coast was Tapir Road, and 3 days' trek north was the city of Ahel Tapir. The other road, little more than a rutted trail, crossed the Path Apir Mountains far inland and stretched eastward, past this hamlet, for another 2 days of travel, where it finally reached the coast road alongside the Artataral Sea. 4 centuries ago, a village had thrived in this place. The ridge to the south had been clothed in hardwood trees with a distinctive feathery foliage, trees now extinct on the subcontinent of 7 cities. Appropriately, the wood from these trees had been used to carve sarcophagi, and the village had become renowned in cities as far away as Hisar to the south, Karashimesh to the west, and Erlitam to the northwest. The industry died with the last tree. Low growth vanished into the gullies of goats. The topsoil blew away, and the village shrank within a single generation to its present decrepit state. The 18 residents who remained now provided services, growing ever less in demand, supplying water to passing caravans, repairing tack and such. A Malazan official had been through once, 2 years back, muttering something about a new raised road and a garrisoned outpost, but this had been motivated by the illegal trade in raw Artataral, which, through other imperial efforts, had since dried up. The recent rebellion had barely brushed the collective awareness of the residents, apart from the occasional rumour arriving with a messenger or outlaw riding through. But even they no longer came to the hamlet. In any case, rebellions were for other people. Thus it was that the appearance of 5 figures standing on the nearest rise of the inland track shortly after midday was quickly noticed, and word soon reached the nominal head of the community, the blacksmith, whose name was Barifon Mekhar, and who was the only resident who had not been born there. Of his past in the world beyond, little was known except what was self-evident. His deep, almost onyx black skin marked him as from a tribe of the southwestern corner of the subcontinent, hundreds, perhaps thousands of leagues distant, and the curled scarifications of his cheeks looked martial, as did the skein of blade cuts puckering his hands and forearms. He was known as a man of few words and virtually no opinions, at least none he cared to share, and so was well suited as a hamlet's unofficial leader. Trailed by a half-dozen adults who still professed to curiosity, Barifon Mekhar walked up the only street until he came to the hamlet's edge. The buildings to either side were ruined, long abandoned, their roofs caved in and walls crumbling and sand heaped. 60 or so paces away stood the 5 figures, motionless, barring the ripple of the ragged strips of their fur cloaks. 2 held spears, the other 3 carrying long 2-handed swords slung across their backs. Some of them appeared to be missing limbs. Barifol's eyes were not as sharp as they once had been. Even so,
Tell him, Villiard, go to the smithy. Walk, don't run. There's a trunk behind the hide bolts. It's got a lock. Break it. Take out the axe and shield, and the gauntlets, and the helm. Never mind the chain. There's no time for that. Now go.
In the 11 years that Barifol had lived among them, he had never spoken so many words in a row to anyone. Jalim and Filiad both stared in shock at the blacksmith's broad back. Then, sudden fear filling their guts, they turned about and walked, stiffly, with awkward, overlong strides, back down the street.
Bandits,
Whispered Kulat, the herder who'd butchered his last goat in exchange for a bottle of liquor from a caravan passing through 7 years ago, and had done nothing since.
Maybe they just want water. We ain't got nothing else.
The small round pebbles he kept in his mouth clicked as he spoke.
They don't want water,
Barifol said.
The rest of you, go find weapons. Anything. No, never mind that. Just go to your homes. Stay there.
What are they waiting for?
Kulat asked as the others scattered.
I don't know,
the blacksmith admitted.
Where they look to be from a tribe I ain't never seen before.
He sucked on the stones for a moment, then said,
Those furs, ain't it kind of hot for furs? And those bone helmets?
They're bone? Your eyes are better than mine, who lot?
Only things still working, Barifol. Scott Bunch, eh? You recognize the tribe, maybe?
The blacksmith nodded. From the village behind them, he could now hear Jalin and Filiad, their breaths loud as they hurried forward.
I think so,
Barifol said in answer to Kulat's question.
They're going to be trouble.
Jalin stepped into his view, struggling beneath the weight of the double-bladed axe, the hat encased in strips of iron, a looping chain at the weighted pommel, the arrant steel of the honed edges gleaming silver. A three-pronged punch spike jutted from the top of the weapon, edged like a crossbow quarrel head. The young man was staring down at it, as if it were the old emperor's sceptre. Beside Jalin was Filiad, carrying the iron-scaled gauntlets, a round shield, and the calm-mailed, grill-faced helm. Barifol collected the gauntlets and tugged them on. The rippling scales reached up his forearms to a hinged elbow cup, and the gauntlets were strapped in place just above the joint. The undersides of the sleeves held a single bar, the iron black and notched, reaching from wrist to cup. He then took the helm and scowled.
You forgot the quilted underpadding.
He handed it back.
Give me the shield. Strap it on my arm, damn you, Filiad. Tighter. Good.
The blacksmith had reached out for the axe. Jalin needed both arms and all his strength to raise the weapon high enough for Barifol's right hand to slip through the chain loop, twisting twice before closing about the haft, and lifting it seemingly effortlessly from Jalin's grasp. To the two men, he said,
Get out of here!
Kulat remained.
They're coming forward now, Barifol.
The blacksmith had not pulled his gaze from the figures.
I'm not that blind, old man.
You must be to stay standing here. You said you know the tribe. Have they come for you, maybe? Some old vendetta?
It's possible,
Barifol conceded.
If so, then the rest of you should be alright. Once they're done with me, they'll leave.
What makes you so sure?
I'm not.
Barifol lifted the axe into readiness.
With Talon Imas, with Zlayed,